Me working with watercolors on a nail tip. I've done the same on my own nails as shown in the video. It's quite easy. Have something to protect your nails. I use the Knockout Nails product. It's the best on the market. It does not have any of the harmful chemicals that your regular gel polish does or your regular polish does. To find out more about the product, go into my official page. Gel cleanser, if you use gel polishes like what I do, gel polish, I used white on my nail, but the tips that I'm using are already white, so I'm not painting them the white color. The little color gel, I use black for the outlines and the squiggly lines and such. And the top coat, China Glaze top coat is the one I'm using. It is with a sticky coat, so at the end I wipe down the tacky coat. Regular watercolor paints that I bought at Michael's, a tissue paper because you're gonna need it to wipe your brush or to wipe the excess color on it, and a bunch of brushes, thin brushes, not so thin, dotting tool, and a UV lamp. So you take a tip, you buff it down. Mine was already buffed, and then you apply, well, on your natural nail you would actually color it. If it's a gel polish, you'll color it white, then you cure it, or whatever color you choose, right? You cure it in the lamp, you buff it down, or you use a gel matte top coat with a regular polish. Once again, you color it white, and then you put a matte top coat on top. And then you can use with watercolors because you need like a rougher surface for the watercolor to attach itself to, because to the glassy surface, to the smooth it won't. Obviously you all know that, but I'm just letting you know. After that, when you've buffed down your nail tip or your nail, or you applied the matte top coat, draw your outlines with black like I've done. Bunch of squiggly lines or whatever, a butterfly or a heart, whatever it is that you're trying to do. In my case, I'm just doing some squiggly lines, some creative design. And then when you're done drawing, like I've done with the gel color, I cure it in a UV lamp. Usually when I do it on my own hands, like I've done the design on my hands as I've shown you, I wipe the tacky coat off that black outline, just because I work on my own hands. Probably if it's a client I wouldn't wipe it off, I wouldn't bother, but on myself I do, just because I'm gonna touch things with my hands, my kids are running around, dust, whatever, all that stuff catches to that tacky layer, and then your design does not look as neat, as clean, as smooth as you want it to be. It's going to be bumpy, it's not going to be pretty. So after that, after you've cured and removed the tacky coat or sticky coat, take a brush, a thicker brush, obviously, not so thin because it's going to be a headache to color whatever little places you need to color. A bit of thicker brush, apply drops of water into each color that you'll be using into your watercolor, and just brush a little bit within that puddle to make it a color puddle, and wipe the brush, and then take a little bit on your brush and apply. But see, if there's too much color in it or it's too watery, that's why you need that paper towel in front of you. So you just dab it a little bit to take off the excess, and then you color. And depending on what style or what pigment or what you're trying to create, you can do a darker, you can do a lighter, you can do a gradient even. That's the beauty with watercolors. You can wash down the color and it's gonna look more like a gradient type of color, or like you've outlined pink with a darker pink, if you know what I mean. So you can play around, find what kind of color you want to use. I always love the gradient effect because it actually creates more like a 3D, more depth to it, and it's more interesting to look at. And once you're done coloring the little elements that you needed to color. Watercolors actually dry out quite fast. So to give you a time frame, I'd say a couple of seconds, like literally 3-4 seconds, literally. You can try it with your finger, dab it and see. You're not gonna screw it up much. If you don't smudge it, obviously, with your finger, right? Just dab, see if anything stays on your fingertip. If nothing stays, it's dry, it's ready. And then I apply a couple of dots, once again, to create more of a gradient effect, more of like a shady effect to it. You don't necessarily have to do it. You can leave it like a little flatter or a little duller. It's all, like I said, depends on what you're trying to create. And let that dry, and that dries in about 2 to 3 seconds, if not less. Once again, just try it with your finger, see if it's dry or not. And when that's done, just apply the top coat and cure it, or in the case of regular nail polish, obviously top coat and wait until it dries. In the case of regular nail polish, I'd say still give it double top coat. I always double top coat my work. I'm gonna tell you right away. And that's why my clients wear their designs longer. I don't care if I waste more product. I really don't care. I love my job. I love that my clients are wearing their designs for weeks and weeks and nothing chips and nothing ruins, and they're happy. I'm happy. So give it a double top coat. Protect your work. It'll last longer. You'll enjoy it longer. And then if you're using a regular nail polish, wipe it off with acetone or nail polish remover, which I haven't used much lately because I work with gel polish more. And that's it, not a problem. With gel, I always, once again, I double coat my top coat. Why is because certain top coats I find do not cover. It doesn't matter how much you try and you apply and you try to apply it all over the surface. Some top coats I find still create little gaps, and then when you go ahead and wipe that tacky layer off, some of the paint or design can come off, and that could ruin your design, and it's not gonna look anymore as sharp, as neat as you wanted it. So once again, my advice, double coat everything. Well, I mean top coat. So apply a top coat, cure it for 2 minutes if it's gel. If you're using lead, it's much faster, but I'm using the UV, so I'm not quite sure how to use. I haven't worked with lead. Then apply a second top coat, cure it again, and voila, this is what you get. And you can create and play around, create different designs. This is my info. Go onto my page.